To your first point about stereotypes and how we're seen in the media, this is why three-dimensional storytelling is so important. And it also starts in writers' rooms,
Yes.
right? So let's say there's four of us, Asians, whoever we're talking about, we're not a monolith. I'm Indian, I'm Catholic, I grew up in Singapore. My background is vastly different than each and every one of us.
That's right.
But looking at us all, you would just put us in a little box. And that is why storytelling is so important, because that is what moves the needle. That is how people see you as a full human being. That's how things change. Like nothing can happen without somebody viewing whatever they're seeing. If they don't see three-dimensional characters, they're going to see you as one-dimensional. And that's how stereotypes happen. That's how people are not seen as humans, right? Like, and how do we change things? By changing writers' rooms, by having 3-4 different Asian American women writing their stories about an Asian American experience, right? And with four of us are going to view different things in different ways, because again, we're not a monolith. So things have to change from writers' rooms, from the executives involved. Like, we all need
from publishing. That PR is so important to have South Asians represented there. How we think and how to get to getting our communities out, it looks different than other communities. So having that being involved. Makeup artists, I always am educating my makeup artists on what we find beautiful, on what makes us feel pretty, because it doesn't look the same as it does here. I always notice people were much more foundation heavy growing up if they were white. And if they were brown, we can't live without our eyeliner. Like, that is our thing that makes us feel beautiful. So things like that, like little things make a difference. I have a badass DP who's a woman, and she's South Asian as well. And I think that's awesome because her lens will tell a different story, and it'll paint the picture at another level than just someone who isn't even South Asian, or just one South Asian writer writing it, one actor. That's great. Let's add more elements in there and see where the magic continues to grow and how much more we feel connected to that piece of work because of it. I find it really interesting that so many of the brown actresses that I know have at some point been told they don't look Indian enough for a role, which is hilarious because we are Indian. So what do you mean?
Yeah.
But yes, I know many of us who have been told that at least once in our acting careers.
Well, I think so. There's a lot that was touched on. So I want to cover a couple of different things from memory. One, when we talked about giving the chances or picking the best person for the role, I think something that gets missed is the education and the resources to be able to give, like, if you have a group that doesn't have those chances, like typically South Asians do not enter into acting, let's say also. That's not our first job choice, right? But I think casting did a good job a couple years ago when they opened up a mentor training program that was cost effective, so that, okay, you want these people to know what they're doing? Great. Open up resources and chances. And I think more than just acting classes that are generic because we don't come in with the same level of opportunity, that's another place we can add people who are South Asian, also who are teaching people how to act, who can speak the language to get people to the moments that they need, so that the quality and the expectation of when you go on set, I can trust you and you show up, is very important. So I think education is a very big thing that we have a gap in right now. That being said, there are definitely people that we all know here who have created social groups that have education fireside chats that are starting to do that so that we have that opportunity. So I think the needle is moving. It may not be moving as fast as we want in terms of representation. Asia is huge. There's so many of us. Like, Indians aren't a monolith, neither are Asians. We got all of us. The thing is, we're all lumped in.
Right.
So when we have like representation on TV, it's not a true representation of all of us, right? Because if we see Asians are subservient, what does that mean? Which Asian? India's in Asia. Who are you talking about?
Right.
So, like, who are you talking about as being displayed? And we have shows that have moved the needle, like Never Have I Ever, where we don't see that. But that's one show of how many that are in production. And also, that wasn't all of our experiences growing up. That's one woman's experience that was very different than mine. And I think hold all of us to one paragon example of this is really hard. So I think that that's another thing when we look at it in terms of domestic abuse. I don't know that because I am first gen born here. So I didn't necessarily see from moving from there to here. That wasn't my experience. But what I do see, at least in the community I grew up in, is, knock on wood, I don't think any one of us in our group is married. Not one of us. And that's highly unusual. Not a single person is not married in our group. And even within our group, we have one person who's married, the rest are not. It's different. We are the changes now. And it doesn't make you different for being married or not married. It makes whatever's right for you in your life is what's important and should be the focus. And I think those are some of the things I heard come up in those discussions of like, how do we deal with that in representation? What my favorite thing to do is I look up all the shows that are currently airing. And then from there, where are the diverse points. I hate that word too, because I just, it's a candy for people to be like, see, look at our diverse team. Look at these four diverse girls. Like, my face will tell you every time that I hate it. Can't hide it. I do think that like by doing a play like this, by writing our own stuff, our own content, we actually get to tell our own stories. But we need that goddamn platform. Like, stop giving it away. Give it to the people who have written something that works. I think that's really important. And I think it really does start with, also, Dustin, you having us on this podcast, and something I appreciated you saying, I did the research. Like, that matters. Whether it's right, wrong, or otherwise, we can discuss whether the research resonates. But we can say, like, hey, you didn't just ask us on the show and ask a bunch of ignorant questions.
No, well, and the purpose for the research is because exactly that, what this theme of this little segment is, education. You can't come into it ignorant. It's all about educating yourself before you make a decision on a topic, right? Yeah, it happens, and not just in this, but in anything, politics, life in general, whatever. There are so many ignorant people who don't take the time to educate themselves, but are the first ones out there with an opinion to say something that they know nothing about, right? So I never want to be that person. I'm that guy that will read everything I can find to make an educated decision, and then I'm also that guy that wants to be called out if I'm wrong, because part of that is what is out there that's misleading, what is not accurate. Let's clear up those misguided and so that we can get accurate information out. And it's about starting conversations.